All right, so here we are. This is this whole deal here is a lot of words for it. I mean, it's a timer. They call it a circuit breaker. Some people call it a distributor. Harley Davidson's calls it a circuit breaker points. So we'll go over a couple of things here. Is the points itself, the points. Here's a set of points right here, and here is a set of points. And you can see, I'm going to pull this back. Here's a set of points here, and I'm going to open them. You see them open? They're actually open now, but I'll open them a little farther. And when these two things open, when this opens, it creates the spark for the spark plug. Same with this. Typically there's one. Here there's two. This one is the front one, and if you look right here, you'll see an F that designates that this set of contact points is for the front cylinder, this is for the rear cylinder. Your breaker cam is in the center, and your breaker cam is not completely round. It is oblong, and there's some high spots on it, and these high spots, if you can see right here, there's a piece of plastic, or they call it fiber. So this fiber piece that is on both of these ride on this breaker cam, and when it gets to the high spot, that's what opens this set of contacts that creates a spark in your front or your rear cylinder. So the first thing, you know, a couple other things is there's a little mark right here. That mark, when it is in alignment with this fiber disc on the front set of contacts, that's where you want to actually adjust the width of these sets of contacts. So one of the things we look at is, are they clean? Do they need filed? You can get in and look how to do that and how to tell if they're clean, etc. You kind of want to keep grease and oil off of them. So what I'm going to do is I have my spark plugs out. I have the rear wheel lifted off the ground. I have it in 4th gear. I'm going to use the kickstart to move the engine in 5th gear that will move this actual breaker cam, and I am going to get it to where now once I pass this mark on this front set of breaker points, contacts, past that fiber, it stays open for a period of time. I want to make sure that this is opened as absolutely as far as it can go. It's the first thing I want to do. Right at this point, I really don't care whether I'm on the front cylinder, the rear cylinder. I'm not setting up the timing, I'm just setting up the contacts. So I'm going to first set up set of contacts, the front set of contacts. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to come around. And as you see, coming around clockwise. And as I come around to the front breaker, I'm going to come right back around to where I don't know that you'll be able to see it, but if you watch right here, you're going to see this set of contacts for the front cylinder start to open right when this mark gets about right in this area here. Should maybe right there. It just opened. Don't know if you caught it, but it just opened. I'm right on the fiber right now. So I'm going to go a little past that point, and you'll see that this stopped moving. It's kind of at its high spot. Well, it actually did move just a little bit more. So I want to make sure that I am as far open as it gets. And you can rotate it around and see. I know that once I'm past that a little bit, I'm open as far as I can get. That set of contacts should be set up at 0.22 thousandths, 22 thousandths. So I have a feeler gauge, and they recommend using a wire feeler gauge. I don't have one, I have a flat feeler gauge. That's this right here. And you can see there's 23 thousandths. There's 24 thousandths. And this one here is, I don't know if you can see the glare, is 22 thousandths. So what I do is, first of all, I spray this thing down with a little bit of contact cleaner. I get the oil and grease off of it before I stick it in the points. And now that I know that I'm open to my biggest depth, I'm going to stick this in right here, and you can see it's set up, you know, it's really, really wide. So I need to close that. So what you do to close that, and this setup here is exactly the same as this one, and you probably can't see the screws very well. I think you can see this screw at the top, which this is the top on this front one. This is the top on the, if you want to call it top, the one closest to the contacts. This is what cinches everything down. This is an eccentric screw here that once you unloosen this top screw, or the screw closest to the actual set of contacts, you can turn this screw, and one way will close this gap, the other way will open the gap. So what I want to do is I want to take and I want to close that gap. And so I'm going to loosen the screw here, which is actually already loosened, and I'm going to take a screwdriver, and I'm going to go here and I'm going to start to bring this down. And I'll set it. I'll do that to where you might be able to see it. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to set this right here. I'll try to come around. It'd be nice if I could get around the back and hold that. And I'm going to go clockwise, and that's going to make that gap smaller. And I might have to get in your way here. Actually, I am loosening the adjustment screw. I need to be here. This is the one that you adjusted. This cinches things down. This is the eccentric one, which is this one back here. So I'm going to jump on that one, and I'm going to go clockwise a little bit, and I'm going to close that set down. And I don't know if you were able to see that, but that set of contacts gap became smaller. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my 0.22, 22 thousandths, and I'm going to put it in there, and it slides right in. So I know I have to come a little bit more. So I will get in, and I will go clockwise a little bit more. Okay. That doesn't feel bad. I feel a little bit, not much though, a little bit of a grip, but not much. So that's why I have the 23 and the 24. I'll go to 24 and see if it's tight. Little bit more. That feels about right. So it's probably set at about 24. I could feel a little bit of a grip, but not much. If I go to 23, well, 23 is about good. So 22, it's really, really close to 22. Matter of fact, I must have touched something because it is not too bad. So what I'm going to do is try to tighten up the top screw, and once that's tightened up, usually you will change it and you might have to adjust it again. So I will, for giggles, I'm going to just tighten it up just a little bit here. Okay. Felt that get a little snug. I'm going to go back to the 22. Go 23 because it feels like it's set up at about 23 right now. I'm going to tighten it a little bit more because that might cinch it a little bit more. Okay, I'll go 22. And I can just barely feel that thing touching. So I'm actually happy with that. So I will tighten that a little bit more, but what happens next is we will go around until this rear opens all the way, and I'm at the highest spot here. You can keep an eye on this set of contacts. It's actually open right now. Actually, just see it open. So these need to be adjusted, and I do want to make sure that I am all the way advanced. So one thing I didn't tell you is we want to make sure, watch me retard this. See how we're moving? Okay, so the movement of this whole timer assembly is what advances and retards it. I'm retarded right now, as you all know, and I'm going to advance, which is all the way forward this way. And when we get into setting up the timing, I'll tell you how you make sure it's all the way advanced. But right now, I can see that that set of contacts is open. So I'm going to go now. It just closed. So I'm going to go around again until we see it open, and watch this set of contacts open. You're going to see it open right about real close in here. There it is. You saw that open. Now I'll go a little bit past, because once we're past, this whole cam is at the high spot. So I know I'm not right on here. I'm a little past there. Now what I'm going to do is I will do the same thing. I will loosen this set screw. I will adjust this eccentric screw until I am right at 22 thousandths. And let me check to see where it's at. It's a little bit tight, but it's almost right on there. There's 22 thousandths, probably more about 20, I'd guess. So what I'll do is, since I can get to this one, I'll loosen it up a little bit. I will adjust this to open it up a little bit more. And I should go counterclockwise to open it. You can remember again, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. So I just adjusted that a tad bit. Come in here. I can feel it. Just barely. I think I'm going to close it up just a little bit. And actually that made a pretty big difference with very, very little of a turn. So I'm going to go ahead and open it back up just a little bit. A little too much? And it doesn't take much because I made a huge difference there. Closed it up too much. And just take your time, no rush. Still a little tight. There we go. That feels really good right there. So I'm going to try to snug this up. Sure, it might change. And it did. Got a little tight. So that's what people say is leave it a little tad bit loose. And some of the times that'll, by the time you tighten it up, it'll be just where you need it. That's a tad bit loose. It's not bad at all. Maybe a little bit tight, but you get my point. I won't make you watch me do it another 5 times. So all we're doing, remember, is setting up the points gap here and here. Now, as we get into timing it, we'll probably be readjusting the rear one to set it up the way it needs to be set up, and we'll get into that in a little bit. So there you go. That's basically how you do that. Again, pretty basic. Get on the high side of each one of these contacts to where it's open as much as it can. Open up the top screw. Adjust the eccentric screw to make this at 0.22. And again, look at your manual because each engine's set up differently. And get those 2 set up. Then we'll get into the timing next. So we appreciate your time. If you get a chance to slap that monkey or punch him in the throat, go ahead and do that. Step on that bug, swing that bell, hit that notification button, thumbs up, whatever you're supposed to do. Enjoy the rest of your Thanksgiving. We'll talk to you later.